DC executives are hiding a secret document that reveals the real reason they refuse to push their black heroes. What they did to one iconic character was so damaging, it changed everything. You have to stick until the end to see the leaked memo that proves this was a deliberate corporate strategy. This will make you furious. For decades, DC has had an arsenal of black heroes waiting in the wings, characters crafted with depth, history, and cultural resonance. Fans have known them through comics, through animated universes, through fleeting moments of live action. Yet in 2025, their presence in the mainstream still feels like a promise unkept. Entire generations grew up with Jon Stewart as their Green Lantern in the DCU, or tuned in to watch Virgil Hawkins electrify Saturday mornings in Static Shock. These weren't side notes. These were foundational experiences for countless fans. Yet when corporate executives today tout diversity and inclusion, you can't help but laugh or seethe because the library of ready-made, beloved characters has been sitting there untouched for years. It's not paranoia to notice the pattern. Remember the Justice League fiasco? When Zack Snyder was sidelined and Joss Whedon reshaped the film, Victor Stone's arc was gutted. Key emotional beats with Silas Stone vanished, Iris West's scenes were trashed, Martian Manhunter's reveal was erased, and Warner Brothers flat-out refused Snyder's wish to include Jon Stewart's Green Lantern. All that history, all that potential, wiped in service of a smaller, safer narrative. You don't find that suspicious? Because I do. The problem isn't a lack of characters. It's the refusal to put them forward. Ask random people on the street to name 5 black superheroes who don't have lightning powers. Watch the hesitation. Storm gets blurted out. Someone stumbles onto Miles Morales, but he too is tied to electricity. And then silence. This isn't because the characters don't exist. It's because they've been buried, neglected, starved of the spotlight. DC fans joke that the company only knows how to market Batman, but the deeper question is, does DC even care to promote its black legacy? Whenever these frustrations are voiced, critics pop up claiming it's too negative. Apparently, pointing out that Static Shock is forgotten or that Cyborg was butchered in editing is hating. Yet the irony is rich. If a creator spent their time ranting about movies being too woke, they'd be praised as brave. But when the critique points out genuine neglect of representation, suddenly it's whining. The hypocrisy is exhausting, and the ignorance is rampant. Even today, people confuse Black Lightning with Static. Some don't even realize Static belongs to DC at all. That confusion could have been cleared long ago if Warner Brothers had pushed Static Shock with the same energy they pour into yet another Batman reboot. Years ago, they even announced a live-action Static movie with Michael B. Jordan attached as producer. That sounded monumental. But what followed? Silence. No updates. No trailers. No official cancellation either, just corporate ghosting. The animated Milestone movie announced at DC Fandom 2021? Same story. 3 years of nothing. For a studio that churns out animated features like Clockwork, the absence is deafening. It stings more because Milestone Comics was built to fight this exact problem. In the early 90s, Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, and Michael Davis created a space where black characters weren't stereotypes, but heroes with power, flaws, and dignity. They gave us Static, Hardware, Icon Rocket. DC struck a deal to publish Milestone books, but the creative team kept the reins. For a time, it felt revolutionary, but the late 90s downturn in comics and retailer pushback forced Milestone's shutdown, even though its characters lived on through Static Shock and later cameos. In 2008, Milestone's characters officially merged with DC continuity. Static joined the Teen Titans, scored a solo series in the New 52, though it was short-lived, and popped up in Young Justice. Yet even there, he was reduced to background noise, a hero teased but never fully realized. Black Lightning was given more depth in Young Justice. Outsiders exploring his guilt and leadership role, but even then the mentorship dynamic with Static, which was right there for the taking, was barely explored. And that's the tragedy. The ingredients are in place, but DC refuses to cook the meal. Static could have been a household name alongside Spider-Man. Jon Stewart could have been the Green Lantern of the modern film era. Icon and Rocket could have redefined cosmic storytelling. Instead, we get announcements without follow-through, cameos without commitment, and legacies gathering dust. Carey Payton has become one of those voices etched into the DNA of DC animation. He isn't just Cyborg in Teen Titans, he's Aqualad, and seemingly every other black hero that breathes life in those shows. That's talent, range, and legacy rolled into one man. And while animation thrives, live action has been far shakier. Take the Black Lightning series. On paper, it should have been a triumph. Jefferson Pierce as a father, mentor, and veteran hero balancing his duty with raising daughters who inherit powers of their own. But execution? That's another story. Instead of the spotlight resting on Jefferson, the narrative often veered off track, weighed down by frustrating subplots. Lynn, his estranged wife, became exhausting. Jennifer, one of his daughters, felt more like a burden than a breakout star. Still, Tobias Whale, the albino villain dripping with Uncle Ruckus energy, was a twisted joy whenever he appeared, spewing venom with theatrical flair. His lines were so outrageous they bordered on grotesque comedy. In the comics, Black Lightning carved out respect in Batman's outsiders, not as a token inclusion, but as a genuine leader whose restraint with his powers made even Batman take notice. He represented resilience, intellect, and a willingness to stand toe-to-toe with Gotham's darkest tactician. That foundation could have made him one of DC's greats on screen, but instead, his TV run is remembered as a mixed bag. Cyborg suffers from a similar curse. To me, he's always belonged with the Teen Titans. That team dynamic gives him intimacy, brotherhood, humor, elements that fit his character far better than forcing him onto the Justice League's main stage. When DC's New 52 reboot decided to replace Martian Manhunter with Victor Stone as a founding Leaguer, it felt like corporate checkboxing. We need a black member in the Core 7. That logic ignored alternatives who were already embedded in Justice League lore. Vixen, Mr. Terrific, even Black Lightning himself. Any of them could have been powerful additions. Instead, Cyborg was forced into a space where he never truly fit, and the DCU only made matters worse. His design in Justice League looked like a twisted mess of polygons. Ray Fisher poured his heart into the role, but Joss Whedon's reshoots shredded his entire arc, leaving us with a half character when, in Zack Snyder's cut, he was clearly the emotional core of the movie. Fisher had every right to be furious. Yet years later, his ongoing calls for accountability over entertainment feel like screaming at ghosts. Those responsible are long gone, and the wound, while real, has become scar tissue. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers flirted with projects that nobody asked for. Remember when they tried to push a Black Superman movie instead of continuing Henry Cavill's Man of Steel storyline? Ta-Nehisi Coates was set to write, J.J. Abrams to produce. On the surface, maybe it could have been interesting, an Elseworlds Val-Zod or Calvin Ellis project. But instead, the rumors suggested it might just be Clark Kent in black skin, stripped of the cultural context that made those other characters unique. Michael B. Jordan was reportedly developing a Val-Zod project separately, which sounded promising, but predictably, nothing concrete ever came of it. That's the Warner Brothers pattern. Grand announcements, no follow-through. If they truly wanted a Black Superman, Icon from Milestone was sitting there waiting, a character with roots predating both Val-Zod and Calvin Ellis, offering a fully realized mythology of his own. But of course they ignored him. Mr. Terrific is another casualty of neglect. In the comics, Michael Holt is one of the sharpest minds in DC, often cited as the third smartest human alive, though many argue he deserves the top spot. Brilliant, athletic, tech-savvy, and wielding his signature T-spheres, he should have been a breakout character. Instead, the Arrowverse gave us Curtis Holt, a watered-down caricature full of awkward geek stereotypes, comic relief antics, and little of the gravitas the original deserved. They nailed his costume, sure, but gutted everything else. Thankfully, James G's upcoming Superman film promises to include Mr. Terrific, and actor Eddie Gathegi seems ready to embody him with the respect the comics gave him. And then there's Vixen. Mari McCabe's totem gives her access to the entire Animal Kingdom's abilities, a power set that's visually stunning and narratively rich. She had her moments in Justice League Unlimited, a presence in the Arrowverse Legends of Tomorrow, and even a tie-in animated web series. But beyond cameos and background appearances, she's been underutilized, when she could have been a cornerstone hero with African roots at the heart of DC's modern storytelling. Finally, Jon Stewart. For countless fans, he is Green Lantern, thanks to Justice League Unlimited. Entire generations associate the Emerald Ring with his military discipline and stoic integrity. And yet, every live-action attempt to bring him to life has dissolved. The Berlanti-produced Green Lantern series? Scrapped. The 2011 Ryan Reynolds disaster still casts a shadow. Now, at last, G's DCU Promises a Lanterns show centered on both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. If delivered properly, it could redeem years of wasted opportunity. And that's the cycle. Warner Brothers loves to brag about representation, but rarely invests in the Black characters they already own. They reach for the safest icons, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then slap diversity on top like garnish. Meanwhile, legends like Static, Icon, Vixen, Mr. Terrific, and Jon Stewart languish in limbo. It's not about scarcity of heroes. It's about a studio unwilling to trust them. Do you think DC has failed its Black heroes by neglecting legends like Static and Jon Stewart? Which character deserves the spotlight first? Mr. Terrific, Vixen, Icon, or someone else? Should Cyborg remain with the Titans or stay in the League? Drop your take in the comments and subscribe so we can keep the conversation alive about representation done right.